Today, in some ways, we're in danger of repeating the past. As the easy oil was all used up, we're drilling in challenging conditions up in the Arctic. We're considering an increasing reliance on tar sands, which are plentiful in our northern neighbor Canada, but which are dirtier to process. But once more, America has been fortunate to find a new, abundant, domestic, and potentially cleaner source of energy. Several regions, from North Dakota to the Mid-Atlantic and northeastern states, have large amounts of natural gas deep underground in shale rock formations. And the city of Fort Worth sits literally on top of the Barnett Shale. For the first time, a new source of energy is emerging when there's an awareness of the urgent need for sustainability. Can Fort Worth and America figure out how to make shale gas a significant part of our energy future without repeating the mistakes of our energy past? Folks used to call this Cowtown. Today, there are more than 2,000 gas wells right under the city of Fort Worth.
City's grown by 200,000 people in 10 years and estimated we'll gain another 200,000.
Rapid growth has brought congestion on the roads and pressure on freshwater resources at a time of record drought all across Texas. That has motivated the city to be part of the Sustainability Roundtable, bringing together developers and planners, energy executives, university researchers, and even the commander of the local Naval Air Station.
We have to begin to develop a master vision for how do we be sustainable. It has to be a concentrated effort on every department's part to think about their water use, their electric use.
Because it's working.
Roundtable members realize their push for sustainability is happening against the backdrop of the natural gas boom.
It's quite remarkable how rapidly shale gas has developed from being basically 0% of our production to being more than a third of our total natural gas production and going up.
Depending on how quickly we use it, experts say America could have enough gas for several decades. To some, this is a huge bonanza.
We found so much gas here and in other areas that the price has been driven down.
To others, shale gas is an environmental disaster waiting to happen.
There has to be a more robust discussion with the public about risk and risk-benefit. Very few discussions start that way. Most of them start with, here's a source we must use, or here's a source of energy we must not use. The real issue is, what is our desired end state?
Geologists have known about shale gas for more than 20 years, but that didn't mean the gas was easy or economical to extract. In this industry video, you can see that hydraulic fracturing, or fracking, uses a mixture of water, sand, and chemicals. This is injected deep underground to break up the rock and let the gas flow up to the surface more easily.
We say we've been punching holes in the ground in Texas for 100 years.
What was new was drilling down and then out horizontally, and the locations of the pad sites.
We've been fracking wells for 50, but we've not done it in your backyard.
Larry Brogdon is an oil and gas man who made money by acquiring and selling drilling rights. Now he teaches a course that touches on energy, economics, and environment at Texas Christian University.
The economic benefit to this area has been about, in the last 10 years, has been about over $65 billion.
And when natural gas is used to generate electricity, some estimates are that it's 50% cleaner than coal.
The advantage that natural gas has is that it's much lower carbon in terms of its footprint.
Industry insiders say Americans need to recognize that the power we all use has to come from somewhere.
Somebody goes over there and they flip on that light switch and they think they're just using electricity. Well, the natural gas is generating a whole lot of that electricity.
However, public concern, here in Fort Worth and nationally, has focused on worries that the entire cycle of drilling, fracking, production, and fluid disposal can contaminate drinking water, trigger earthquakes, and leak methane.
It is an industrial activity, and that means the management of water, that means air quality, And the third thing is just the community impact, that suddenly areas that were not being developed for natural gas now have this development coming in.
Daniel Yergin was a member of a special committee tasked by the U.S. Secretary of Energy to study the potential environmental impacts of natural gas drilling. The committee came up with 20 recommendations of best practices, with number 1 being better sharing of information with the public. Number 14, disclosure of fracking fluids. And number 11, studies about possible methane contamination of water supplies.
One has to do the full life cycle analysis, kind of cradle to grave kind of thing, to really understand where the points of vulnerability are, including full environmental cost, and to then weigh the risks and the benefits, and that will help us lay out what the panoply of sources would look like.
Only if safeguards are in place can this fossil fuel really serve as a bridge to a more sustainable future.
Right now, best practices would focus on things like how do you handle the water that is produced out of the well as a result of hydraulic fracturing, and making sure that it's disposed of in a very environmentally sound way.
As the name hydraulic fracturing implies, massive amounts of water are required for fracking. And in Texas, where water is a precious resource, this is a major concern.
Water's huge facing the city, and I think that water is one of those things that most people don't think long-term about.
Although Mayor Price says local breweries use more water than the drillers, with sustainability in mind, there's no reason why fracking has to use potable water.
So now we're able to use reclaimed water to frack these wells and thereby use less of our potable water. And it could take 3 million gallons of water to frack one well.
Once thought of as a sewage treatment plant, Village Creek is now the water reclamation facility. Till recently, 50% of Fort Worth's potable water was used for irrigation. Now the city's distributing treated gray water in distinctive purple pipes to irrigate golf courses and playing fields, and for industrial uses at the giant Dallas-Fort Worth Airport.
Every day in the city of Fort Worth, about 1 million people put water down the drain. This is where it ends up.
The water treatment process itself is becoming more sustainable and less energy intensive. And in a twist, this new approach relies on a truly natural gas. Methane is the primary component of natural gas, but it's also a byproduct of our daily lives, found in human waste. One of the first steps in the process is to remove solids from the waste and put it into digesters, where methane gas is generated.
Under normal circumstances, you may consider methane to be a greenhouse gas, which would be bad for the environment. But here, we're using it as a renewable resource to power our engines, possibly getting up to as much as 95% of the energy required for the operation of this facility.
Fort Worth is aiming for sustainable growth and an energy boom without a following bust. But the energy we all surely need will more easily be found by tapping another resource that's found in Fort Worth and every community.
When we talk about energy, we talk about the various major energy sources. You talk about oil, natural gas, coal, nuclear, increasingly also, of course, the renewables, wind and solar. But there's one fuel that gets left out of the discussion, and yet it's one that has enormous impact in the future. That's the fifth fuel: energy efficiency, conservation.